Hey guys, tonight we're slipping into the dusty, sandal scuffed streets of ancient Rome, where the air smells of olive oil and ambition, and the political scene is about to get feathery. Picture yourself in 37 CE standing in the shadow of marble columns, the sun baking your shoulders as senators in togas hustle past, muttering about taxes and treason. The Roman Senate, once a bastion of power, is now a stage for one of history's wildest acts. The day Emperor Caligula, with a glint in his eye, decides a chicken, yes, a clucking, pecking barnyard bird, deserves a seat among Rome's elite. You're there, watching this absurdity unfold, and let's be honest, you'd probably not survive a single day in this madhouse without losing it. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop a comment with your city and local time. I love knowing where you're drifting off from. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You're standing on the edge of the Forum, the heart of Rome, where the cobblestones are worn smooth by centuries of scheming. The air hums with the chatter of merchants haggling over figs and wine, while priests in white robes mumble prayers to Jupiter. It's a city that feels like it's holding its breath, because Caligula, the young emperor, is already making waves. He's been in power for a few months, and the Senate, those stuffy old men who think they run the show, is starting to realize they're in for a wild ride. You can almost taste the tension, like the tang of sour wine lingering on your tongue. The senators, with their carefully draped togas and practiced frowns, are used to power plays, but nothing prepares them for what's coming. You catch a glimpse of one, his face red as a pomegranate, muttering about that boy's reckless spending. Oh, you think, if only he knew. Let's set the scene properly. The Senate House looms nearby, its bronze doors glinting in the midday sun. Inside, it's a world of polished marble and whispered deals, where every word is a weapon. But outside, Rome is alive, chaotic, like a modern-day rush-hour subway station, except with more goats. You dodge a cart piled high with amphorae, the clay jugs sloshing with oil, and nearly trip over a stray dog gnawing on a fishbone. Someone's shouting about the price of garum, that stinky fish sauce Romans love like it's ketchup. You're just trying to keep up, your sandals slapping against the stone, when you hear the first rumor. Caligula's planning something big, something weird. You smirk, thinking it's probably just another lavish party. Spoiler, it's way weirder than that. Now, let's talk about Caligula, or Gaius Julius Caesar Augustus Germanicus, if you're feeling fancy. He's 25 with a mop of curly hair and eyes that seem to see right through you, like he's already plotting your downfall over breakfast. He's got this charm, though, like a TikTok star who knows how to work a crowd. When he took the throne, Rome was buzzing with hope. His dad, Germanicus, was a war hero, and the people thought Caligula would be their golden boy. But you're starting to notice cracks in the facade. He's burning through Rome's treasury faster than you blow through a paycheck at a Black Friday sale. Temples, statues, chariot races, he's funding it all, and the Senate's clutching their pearls. You overhear a senator whisper, he's building a palace for his horse next. You chuckle, thinking it's a joke. It's not. Here's a fun fact historians don't talk about much. Caligula had a thing for theatrics, even before the chicken incident. He once ordered his guards to collect seashells on a beach, calling it a victory over Neptune. Picture you're there, sand between your toes, watching legionaries stuff their helmets with shells, looking as confused as you'd be if your boss asked you to alphabetize a box of paper clips. The soldiers are muttering, the waves are crashing, and Caligula's just standing there, grinning like he's invented the internet. Historians still debate whether he was trolling or genuinely believed he'd conquered the sea. Either way, you're starting to get why Rome's elite are sweating. The Senate, though, is the real victim here. These guys are used to being the big dogs, passing laws, picking consuls, acting like they're the avengers of ancient Rome. But Caligula, he's treating them like background extras in his personal reality show. You slip into the Senate House, squeezing past a crowd of curious onlookers. The air's thick with incense and anxiety. Senators are arguing about grain supplies, but you can tell their hearts aren't in it. They're waiting for Caligula's next move, like you're waiting for the Wi-Fi to reconnect during a Netflix binge. And then you hear it, a faint clucking sound. Your head turns. Is that a chicken? You blink, thinking maybe you're dehydrated. But no, this is Rome, 37 CE, and things are about to get gloriously unhinged. You're not sure what's wilder, the fact that Caligula is about to make history with a farm animal, or that the senators have to pretend it's normal. You catch a whiff of roasted chickpeas from a nearby vendor, and your stomach rumbles, reminding you that even in Rome's chaos, life goes on. But that clucking, it's getting louder. You crane your neck, trying to see what's happening, but the crowd's too thick. Someone whispers, he's bringing it to the Senate tomorrow. You don't know what it is yet, but you're already imagining the group chat blowing up if this happened today. LOL, Caligula just yeeted a chicken into politics. You're hooked, aren't you? Good, because this is just the beginning, and Rome's about to serve up a story wilder than any reality TV drama. You're still in Rome, the sun dipping lower now, casting long shadows across the forum's cobblestones. The air's cooling, but it's still thick with the scent of sweat, spilled wine, and that ever-present garum fish sauce that clings to everything like a bad decision. You're weaving through the crowd, your sandals scuffing against the stone, trying to make sense of the whispers about Caligula's latest antics. Remember that clucking you heard? It's still nagging at the back of your mind, but for now, the city's buzzing with talk of the emperor himself. Caligula's only been ruling for a few months, and already he's got Rome's elite clutching their togas like they're one bad tweet away from a meltdown. You're about to learn why this guy's reign is less golden age and more dumpster fire with a crown. Picture yourself ducking into a shaded alley where a couple of merchants are gossiping over a jug of watered down wine. One of them, with a beard like a bird's nest, leans in and says, "He spent half the treasury on statues of himself." You raise an eyebrow because, yeah, that tracks. Caligula's got a flair for the dramatic, like he's auditioning for the role of most extra emperor. You've seen the statues, his face carved into marble, smirking down at you from every corner of the city. It's like walking through a selfie-obsessed influencer's Instagram feed, except with more pigeons. You can't help but wonder how much those cost. Spoiler, way more than your annual rent. Let's rewind a bit to get why everyone's so on edge. Caligula, or Gaius to his buddies, started strong. When he became emperor at 25, the crowds cheered like he was dropping a new album. His dad, Germanicus, was basically Rome's Captain America, and people thought Caligula inherited that heroic vibe. You're there at his first big public appearance, standing shoulder to shoulder with sweaty Romans as he promises tax cuts and free bread. The vibe's electric, like a Black Friday sale at a chariot dealership. But now, months later, you're noticing the cracks. He's not just spending money, he's flinging it around like confetti at a wedding. Temples, aqueducts, gold plated chariots. It's like he's got a Roman Amazon Prime account with no spending limit. Here's a detail most folks skip over. Caligula didn't just spend on himself. He threw insane parties that make modern raves look like a church picnic. Picture you're at one, squeezing past senators and dancers, the air heavy with rosewater and roasted peacock. There's a fountain, yes, a fountain, spouting wine, and servants tossing out pearls like they're candy. You're tempted to grab one, but the Praetorian guards are watching, their swords glinting like a subtle, "don't try it." Historians still argue over whether these parties were Caligula's way of buying loyalty, or just him flexing on everyone. Either way, you're dodging spilled wine and wondering how Rome's not broke yet. The Senate, though, is feeling the burn. You slip back toward the Senate House, where the mood's as sour as week old milk. These guys are used to calling the shots, but Caligula's treating them like his personal fan club. You overhear a senator, his toga slightly askew, grumbling about how Caligula demanded they worship him as a god. A god! You stifle a laugh. Because, come on, the guy's barely got his life together, let alone divine powers. It's like your coworker declaring they're the next Elon Musk because they fixed the office printer. But the senator's not laughing. His face is all pinched, like he's bitten into a lemon. You get it. Powerless is a bad look on these guys. Now, let's talk about Caligula's personality, because it's a roller coaster. One minute, he's charming, tossing coins to the crowd like he's Oprah with a gift bag. The next, he's glaring at a senator like he's about to yeet him into the Tiber River. You're starting to pick up on the vibe. Unpredictable, like Wi-Fi in a storm. There's this story, probably half true but wild, where he made a senator kiss his sandal in front of everyone. You're imagining the poor guy, red-faced, kneeling on the marble floor, while Caligula's just cackling. It's the kind of power move that gets you canceled on Twitter in 10 seconds flat. But in Rome, it's Tuesday. The city's starting to split. Some folks love Caligula's chaos. They're eating up the free bread and circus vibes. Others, like the senators and the old money types, are whispering about stability and tradition. You're caught in the middle, munching on a handful of roasted chickpeas you snagged from a vendor, trying to figure out who's got the upper hand. The Senate's got history, sure, but Caligula's got the army and the mob. It's like watching a reality show where everyone's scheming, but nobody's winning. And that clucking sound? It's back, faint but persistent, like a notification you can't ignore. You're not sure what it means yet, but it's got you curious. By now, the sun's almost set, and the forum's emptying out. Torches flicker, casting jittery shadows on the statues. You pull your cloak tighter because even in Rome, evenings get chilly. The gossip's still swirling. Caligula's planning something big, something that'll make the seashell stunt look tame. You're not sure what, but the merchants, the senators, even the stray dogs seem to sense it. You're hooked, aren't you? Good, because this is Rome and the show's just getting started. That chicken, it's waiting in the wings, and trust me, It's about to steal the spotlight. You're back in Rome, the night air wrapping around you like a cool, damp cloak as you linger near the Senate House. The forum's quieter now, the vendors gone, their stalls just skeletal frames under flickering torchlight. The scent of garum lingers, mixing with the faint smokiness of burning olive oil. Your sandals scuff against the cobblestones, and you can still hear that distant clucking, teasing you like a half-remembered dream. But tonight, the real drama's inside the Senate, where Rome's power players are stewing in their own frustration. Remember Caligula's wild spending sprees and god complex vibes? They're nothing compared to what he's doing to the Senate's pride. You're about to see these toga wearing big shots realize they're no longer running the show. Picture yourself slipping into the Senate House, squeezing past a guard who's too busy picking at his nails to notice you. Inside, it's all polished marble and heavy air, like a boardroom before a hostile takeover. The senators are gathered, their faces lit by bronze lamps that cast long, twitchy shadows. These guys are the old guard. Think of them as the corporate execs of Rome, with family names older than the hills and egos to match. They're used to making emperors dance to their tune, passing laws, and picking consuls like they're swiping right on Rome's future. But now, you can feel the tension, thick as a bad Wi-Fi signal, because Caligula's rewriting the rules. You settle into a corner, half hidden behind a column, and watch the senators argue. One of them, a grizzled guy with a face like a disappointed walnut, is ranting about Caligula's latest decree. He wants to rename a month after himself. You stifle a chuckle because really, who's got the audacity to mess with the calendar? It's like your boss deciding Monday is now Dave Day. But the senators aren't laughing. They're pacing, their togas swishing like angry cattails, muttering about tradition and dignity. You catch a snippet. He's taxing us to fund his horse's palace. Oh yeah, that horse again. You're starting to think it's got a better shot at senator than some of these guys. Here's a weird tidbit most history buffs gloss over. The Senate wasn't just losing power. They were being humiliated in ways that stung worse than a bad Yelp review. Caligula once forced them to hold a full session to debate whether his favorite gladiator deserved a statue. Picture you're there, watching these guys, some of whom trace their lineage to Romulus, argue for hours about a sweaty fighter named Thrax. The air's thick with incense and exasperation, and you're trying not to giggle as one senator accidentally calls Thrax divine. Historians still debate whether Caligula did this to mock them, or just because he was obsessed with gladiators. Either way, you're feeling secondhand embarrassment for these poor saps. The Senate's power is slipping like sand through their fingers, and you can see it in their eyes. Part fury, part fear. They used to control the purse strings, the legions, the whole Roman vibe. Now Caligula's got the Praetorian Guard, the mob, and that terrifying charisma that makes people cheer even when he's burning through their taxes. You overhear a younger senator, his voice low, say, "He treats us like slaves." It's not just hyperbole. You notice how they flinch when a messenger arrives, expecting another of Caligula's requests. It's like getting a Slack message from your CEO at 2 a.m. You know it's trouble, but you can't ignore it. Let's talk about the mood in the room, because it's grim. The lamps are flickering, and the senators' voices are getting hoarse. One of them, a wiry guy with a beard like a philosopher's, suggests they reason with Caligula. The others stare at him like he's just proposed wrestling a lion. You get it. Reasoning with Caligula is like trying to negotiate with a toddler mid tantrum. You're tempted to whisper, "Good luck, buddy," but you keep quiet, soaking in the drama. Another senator snaps, "He'll have us worshipping his sandals next." You bite your lip because honestly, that doesn't sound far fetched after the seashell fiasco. The real kicker? They can't fight back. Caligula's got the army, the people, and that knack for making rebellion feel like a bad idea. You're watching them grapple with this, their hands clenched, their voices dropping to whispers when they mention his name. It's like they're stuck in a toxic group project with a team leader who's all vibes and no plan. You're starting to feel for them, even if their togas make them look like they're auditioning for a bedsheet commercial. They're trapped, and you're trapped with them, caught up in this slow motion train wreck. As the session drags on, you slip back outside, the cool night air hitting your face like a splash of water. The forum's almost empty now, just a few stray cats and a drunk poet muttering to himself. You're thinking about that clucking again, wondering what it means. The senators are still inside arguing, but you know they're fighting a losing battle. Caligula's got something up his sleeve, something that'll make the gladiator debate look tame. You pull your cloak tighter, the stars blinking above, and head toward your next stop in this wild Roman saga. That chicken? It's closer than you think, and it's about to ruffle some serious feathers. You're back in the heart of Rome, the dawn light creeping over the 7 hills, painting the rooftops gold, the forums waking up, with vendors hauling out baskets of figs and bakers fanning ovens that puff out warm, bready smells. Your sandals slap against the cobblestones as you weave through the early crowd, the air sharp with dew and the faint tang of yesterday's garum. That clucking sound's been haunting you, and now it's louder, closer, like it's calling you to something absurd. The Senate's still reeling from Caligula's power plays, but today you're about to meet the star of this bizarre Roman drama. A chicken. Not just any chicken, mind you, but the one destined to strut into history as a senator. Buckle up, because this is where things get gloriously weird. Picture yourself near a bustling market stall where a grizzled farmer's haggling over a crate of squawking fowl. The chickens are a riot of feathers, brown, white, speckled, clucking and flapping like they know they're the main event. You're dodging a stray feather that floats past your nose when you spot her. She's an unremarkable hen with beady eyes and a slightly crooked beak, pecking at a stray grain like it's her 9 to 5. Nothing about her screams future politician, but then you notice a Praetorian guard. Yep, one of Caligula's elite, strolling over, his armor clinking. He points at the hen, and the farmer's jaw drops like he's just won the Roman lottery. You're thinking, no way, this can't be happening. But it is. Let's set the scene. The guard scoops up the chicken, who squawks like she's been invited to a bad Tinder date, and tucks her under his arm. You follow because, come on, you're not missing this. The market's buzzing, and people are starting to whisper. Is that for the emperor's table? Someone asks. You smirk, because if only they knew. This hen's not destined for a stew pot. She's headed for the Senate house. You're trying to wrap your head around it, imagining this bird waddling into a room full of toga-clad senators. It's like picturing your dog running for mayor, cute but utterly unhinged. Here's a quirky detail most history books skip. Chickens were kind of a big deal in ancient Rome, but not in a let's make them senators way. They were used for augury, divination stuff where priests read the future by watching how chickens ate grain. Picture you're at one of these rituals, the air thick with incense, as a priest squints at a hen like it's solving world hunger. If she pecks eagerly, it's good vibes. If she's picky, doom's coming. Historians still debate whether Caligula picked this chicken to mock these sacred rituals or just because he thought it was funny. Either way, you're watching this hen, now dubbed Senator Cluck, in your head. Get a one-way ticket to political stardom. You trail the guard through the forum, the chicken flapping occasionally, shedding feathers like she's leaving a trail of chaos. The crowd's growing, drawn by the sheer oddity of a soldier cradling a bird like it's a vaipai. You overhear a baker mutter, Caligula's lost it. You're tempted to agree, but there's something about the emperor's audacity that's got you hooked, like binge watching a train wreck reality show. The guard's headed toward the Palatine Hill, where Caligula's palace sprawls like a marble monster. You're not invited, but you linger near the gates, watching as the chicken disappears into the emperor's world. Your stomach's doing flips because you know what's coming. Let's talk about why this chicken matters. Caligula's been flexing on the Senate for months. Remember the gladiator debates and sandal kissing? This hen's his next power move, a feathered middle finger to Rome's elite. You're imagining the senators' faces when they hear about this, their togas practically wilting with rage. It's like your boss promoting your office plant to manager just to mess with you. You're chuckling, but there's a nervous edge to it, because Caligula's not just joking around. He's got the army, the mob, and now, apparently, a chicken. You're starting to wonder if Rome's ready for this level of chaos. The sun's climbing higher, and the forum's getting louder. Merchants shouting, donkeys braying, and somewhere, another chicken clucking like it's jealous of Senator Cluck's glow up. You snag a handful of roasted chickpeas from a passing vendor, the crunch grounding you as you process what you've just seen. The guard's gone, but the whispers are spreading like wildfire. Caligula's got a new senator, someone says, half laughing, half horrified. You're picturing the group chat blowing up if this happened today. Yo, Emperor just made a chicken VP. You're hooked, aren't you? Good, because tomorrow's the big day, and you've got a front row seat to the most absurd Senate session in history. As you wander back through the market, the air's warm now, buzzing with flies and gossip. You're replaying the chicken's grand exit, wondering what Caligula's got planned. Is he trolling? Is he unhinged? Or is this some 4D chess move you're too mortal to understand? You pull your cloak tighter, the morning chill fading, and head toward the Senate House. That clucking still echoing in your mind, a reminder that Rome's about to serve up a story wilder than anything you've seen. Senator Cluck's moment is coming, and trust me, it's going to be a show. You're standing in the forum again, the midday sun blazing down on Rome like a spotlight on a stage. The air's thick with the usual mix, olive oil, sweat, and that garum tang that's basically the city's signature cologne by now. Your sandals are sticky from a spilled amphora of wine, and you're dodging a crowd that's buzzing louder than a hive of angry bees. That chicken, Senator Cluck, as you've nicknamed her, is about to make her grand debut. Remember the Praetorian Guard carting her off to Caligula's palace? Today's the day it all goes down. You're right outside the Senate House, heart thumping as the doors creak open. Caligula's about to drop the most unhinged decree in Roman history, and you've got a front row seat to this feathered fiasco. Picture yourself squeezing into the Senate House, shoulder to shoulder with gawking onlookers and grim faced senators. The air inside is heavy with incense and dread, the marble walls gleaming under flickering lamplight. The senators are in their usual spots, togas draped like they're posing for a statue, but their faces, pure panic, like they've just gotten a "we need to talk" text from their boss. You find a spot near the back, your cloak catching on a column as you crane your neck to see. Caligula's there, sprawled on a gilded chair, his curls glinting, his grin sharp enough to cut glass. And in his lap, yep, it's Senator Cluck, pecking at a grape like she's already over this whole political gig. The room's so quiet you can hear the chickens' faint clucks echo off the walls. Then Caligula stands holding the hen like she's a trophy and declares, "Behold your new senator." His voice is all theater, like he's pitching a blockbuster at a Hollywood meeting. You blink, waiting for the punchline, but the senator's gasps tell you this is no joke. One old guy in the front row looks like he's about to choke on his own toga, his face redder than a sunset. You're trying not to laugh because, come on, this is peak absurdity. Like your coworker bringing their goldfish to a board meeting and calling it CFO. But the Praetorians are watching, so you keep it together. Here's a detail most folks don't know. Caligula didn't just plop the chicken on a chair and call it a day. He had a tiny purple toga made for her, complete with a miniature laurel wreath. Picture you're there, squinting at this hen, who's now dressed better than half the room, her feathers poking through the fabric like she's ready for a Vogue photo shoot. The toga's slipping off, and a slave scrambling to adjust it, while the chicken flaps in protest. Historians still argue over whether this was Caligula's way of mocking the Senate's obsession with status or just him being extra for the laurels. Either way, you're mesmerized by the sheer audacity. Let's talk about the Senate's reaction, because it's a masterclass in suppressed rage. These guys are pros at keeping stone faces, but you can see the cracks. One senator's gripping his chair so hard his knuckles are white, like he's imagining it's Caligula's neck. Another's muttering to his neighbor, probably something about the Republic's doom. You catch a whiff of their anxiety, sharp as vinegar, mixing with the incense. They're forced to clap, yes, clap for this chicken, their hands moving like they're powered by spite. You're half expecting one of them to yell, "This is worse than the seashell thing," but they're too scared of Caligula's guards, who are looming like bouncers at a sketchy club. The Emperor's loving every second of this. He's pacing, gesturing at the chicken like she's about to deliver a TED Talk. "She'll vote on grain taxes," he says, and you're wondering if he's serious or just riffing. The chicken, unbothered, drops a grape and pecks at the floor, which you're pretty sure isn't in the senatorial handbook. You're trying to imagine the group chat blowing up if this happened today. "Bruh, Emperor just swore in a chicken. Send help." The crowd's a mix of horrified and entertained, whispering like they're at a circus but don't want to admit they're into it. You're hooked too, aren't you? This is Rome at its wildest. Now, let's zoom out a bit. This isn't just about a chicken. It's Caligula flexing harder than ever. Remember how he made senators debate gladiators and kiss his sandals? This is next level. By making a barnyard animal a senator, he's saying, "I can do whatever I want, and you'll smile." You're watching the Senate's power crumble like a stale loaf of bread, and it's both hilarious and unsettling. The chicken's just the prop. The real message is Caligula's untouchable. You glance at the senators, their eyes darting, and you know they're plotting something, but not today. Today they're stuck applauding a hen. As the session wraps, Caligula sweeps out, chicken in tow, leaving the Senate in stunned silence. You slip outside, the forum's noise hitting you like a wave, vendors shouting, donkeys braying, and somewhere another chicken clucking like it's auditioning for the sequel. You snag a handful of roasted chickpeas from a passing cart, the crunch grounding you as you process what just happened. The sun's still high, baking the cobblestones, and the gossip's already spreading. A chicken senator, someone yells, half laughing. You're picturing the headlines if this hit Twitter. Rome's newest politician is foul play. You pull your cloak tighter, grinning, because you know this story's about to blow up Rome's gossip mill. You're back on Rome's bustling streets, the afternoon sun dipping low, painting the forum in shades of amber. The air's thick with the usual chaos, roasted chestnut smoke, the tang of spilled wine, and that garum stench that's basically Rome's unofficial perfume. Your sandals are caked with dust as you weave through the crowd, the echo of Senator Cluck's Senate debut still ringing in your ears. Remember that tiny toga and Caligula's smug grin? The news is spreading faster than a viral TikTok, and you're caught in the whirlwind of Rome's gossip mill. The city's losing its mind over a chicken senator, and you're right there, soaking up the outrage, the laughs, and the sheer absurdity of it all. Picture yourself ducking into a crowded tavern near the Subura, where the air's heavy with sweat and cheap wine. The place is packed. Merchants, bakers, even a couple of off-duty legionaries, all shouting over each other like they're at a Black Friday sale. You squeeze onto a wobbly bench, your cloak snagging on a splinter, and order a cup of watered-down vino. The tavern's alive with chatter, and every second word is chicken. A burly guy with a scar across his cheek slams his cup down, bellowing, "A hen in the Senate? What's next, a goat consul?" You stifle a laugh because, honestly, with Caligula, you wouldn't bet against it. It's like the whole city's turned into a Reddit thread, and you're scrolling through the chaos. The gossip's wild, and you're loving every second. A woman selling olives leans over, her voice low, like she's spilling state secrets. "I heard the chicken's got its own villa now." You raise an eyebrow, picturing Senator Cluck lounging on a tiny couch, pecking at grapes. It's probably nonsense, but in Rome, nonsense has a way of feeling true. You're munching on a handful of chickpeas you snagged earlier, the crunch grounding you as the stories get weirder. Someone claims Caligula's planning to marry the chicken to a peacock. Another swears they saw a priest reading omens from its droppings. You're thinking, okay, Rome, maybe log off for a bit. Here's a strange tidbit most history buffs skip. Romans loved their gossip, but they also used it to cope. With Caligula running the show like a reality TV villain, poking fun at his antics was how people stayed sane. Picture you're at a street corner, watching a comedian mimic the chicken speech in the Senate, flapping his arms and clucking to a roaring crowd. It's like a modern-day SNL skit, except with more togas and fewer commercial breaks. Historians still debate whether these jokes were just laughs or subtle rebellion against Caligula's madness. Either way, you're chuckling as the comedian dodges a thrown fig, the crowd hooting like they're at a rock concert. Let's talk about the mood on the streets, because it's a mix of hilarity and horror. You wander back to the forum, where a group of merchants is arguing loud enough to scare the pigeons. One's red-faced, shouting, "This is an insult to Rome's glory." Another, twirling a reed stylus, shrugs and says, "At least the chicken won't raise taxes." You're caught between snorting and nodding because, yeah, the bar's pretty low. The crowd split. Some are furious, their pride stung like they've been ghosted after a first date. Others are leaning into the chaos, cracking jokes like they're auditioning for a stand up gig. You're picking up on the vibe. Rome's a pressure cooker, and the chickens just turned up the heat. You're still in Rome, the morning sun climbing over the hills, bathing the forum in a soft golden glow. The air's crisp, carrying the scent of fresh baked bread and the ever present whiff of garum, like a fishy ghost haunting the city. Your sandals crunch on scattered olive pits as you navigate the waking streets, the buzz of yesterday's gossip still humming in your ears. Senator Cluck, that toga wearing hen, has Rome in a tizzy, and you're dying to know what's next for this feathered politician. Today, you're diving into the absurd world of the chicken's senatorial duties, where Caligula's madness turns the Senate House into a circus. That clucking, it's back, and it's pulling you deeper into this Roman fever dream. Picture yourself slipping back into the Senate House, the marble cool under your feet as you squeeze past a crowd of curious onlookers. The air's thick with incense and the faint, unmistakable smell of poultry. There she is, Senator Cluck, perched on a cushioned stool, her tiny laurel wreath slightly askew, pecking at a pile of grain like she's reviewing tax scrolls. The senators are seated, their faces a mix of grim resignation and barely concealed fury, like they're stuck in a Zoom meeting that should have been an email. You're trying not to giggle because, seriously, this is next level unhinged. Like your boss putting a Roomba in charge of HR and expecting results. Caligula's presiding, lounging on his gilded chair, one leg slung over the armrest like he's chilling at a beach resort. He's grinning, tossing grapes into his mouth, and occasionally pointing at the chicken like she's about to drop some profound legislation. Cluck's vote is final, he declares, and you swear you see a senator's eye twitch. The hen flaps her wings, scattering grain, and a slave scrambles to sweep it up, looking as baffled as you feel. You're imagining the group chat blowing up. Chicken just vetoed the aqueduct budget. I'm done. The crowd's whispering, half amused, half horrified, and you're right there with them, caught in this bizarre spectacle. Here's a detail most history books gloss over. Caligula didn't just let the chicken sit there. He staged elaborate ceremonies to honor her role. Picture you're watching a slave, red-faced and sweating, carry in a tiny bronze lectern engraved with laurels just for Senator Cluck's speeches. The hens clucking away, oblivious, while a scribe, yes, a real scribe, pretends to jot down her decrees on a wax tablet. It's like watching someone transcribe your cat's meows into a PowerPoint. Historians still debate whether Caligula did this to troll the Senate or because he genuinely thought the chicken had vibes. Either way, you're mesmerized by the sheer commitment to the bit. You're still in Rome, the morning sun climbing over the hills, bathing the forum in a soft golden glow. The air's crisp, carrying the scent of fresh baked bread and the ever-present whiff of garum, like a fishy ghost haunting the city. Your sandals crunch on scattered olive pits as you navigate the waking streets, the buzz of yesterday's gossip still humming in your ears. Senator Cluck, that toga-wearing hen, has Rome in a tizzy, and you're dying to know what's next for this feathered politician. Today you're diving into the absurd world of the chicken's senatorial duties, where Caligula's madness turns the Senate House into a circus. That clucking, it's back, and it's pulling you deeper into this Roman fever dream. Picture yourself slipping back into the Senate House, the marble cool under your feet as you squeeze past a crowd of curious onlookers. The air is thick with incense and the faint, unmistakable smell of poultry. There she is, Senator Cluck, perched on a cushioned stool, her tiny laurel wreath slightly askew, pecking at a pile of grain like she's reviewing tax scrolls. The senators are seated, their faces a mix of grim resignation and barely concealed fury, like they're stuck in a Zoom meeting that should have been an email. You're trying not to giggle because, seriously, this is next level unhinged. Like your boss putting a Roomba in charge of HR and expecting results. Caligula's presiding, lounging on his gilded chair, one leg slung over the armrest like he's chilling at a beach resort. He's grinning, tossing grapes into his mouth, and occasionally pointing at the chicken like she's about to drop some profound legislation. Cluck's vote is final, he declares, and you swear you see a senator's eye twitch. The hen flaps her wings, scattering grain, and a slave scrambles to sweep it up, looking as baffled as you feel. You're imagining the group chat blowing up. Chicken just vetoed the aqueduct budget. I'm done. The crowd's whispering, half amused, half horrified, and you're right there with them, caught in this bizarre spectacle. Here's a detail most history books gloss over. Caligula didn't just let the chicken sit there. He staged elaborate ceremonies to honor her role. Picture you're watching a slave, red-faced and sweating, carry in a tiny bronze lectern engraved with laurels just for Senator Cluck's speeches. The hens clucking away, oblivious, while a scribe, yes, a real scribe, pretends to jot down her decrees on a wax tablet. It's like watching someone transcribe your cat's meows into a PowerPoint. Historians still debate whether Caligula did this to troll the Senate or because he genuinely thought the chicken had vibes. Either way, you're mesmerized by the sheer commitment to the bit. You're back in Rome, the evening air settling over the forum like a soft blanket, heavy with the scent of cooling stone and fading garum. Torches flicker along the colonnades, casting jittery shadows on the cobblestones as you wander, your sandals scuffing softly. The city's still buzzing from Senator Cluck's absurd Senate debut. Remember that tiny toga and the fake decrees? The gossip's thicker than a double espresso, but tonight you're peeling back the curtain on Caligula's motives. Why did he make a chicken a senator? Was he unhinged, trolling, or playing some twisted game of power? You're about to dive into the Emperor's mind, and trust me, it's a wilder ride than a chariot race. Picture yourself slipping into a quiet courtyard near the Palatine Hill, where Caligula's palace looms like a marble fortress. You're tucked behind a laurel bush, the leaves tickling your neck, eavesdropping on a couple of Praetorian guards swapping stories. One's polishing his sword, the blade glinting under a torch, while the other mutters, "Gaius says the chicken's his greatest jest yet." You lean closer, heart thumping, because this is the closest you've gotten to understanding Caligula's game. The guard chuckles, adding, or maybe he thinks it's Jupiter reborn. You're torn between snorting and shivering, because with Caligula, both options feel plausible, like your eccentric uncle swearing his goldfish is psychic, except with an empire at stake. Let's unpack Caligula's headspace because it's a maze. He's 25, ruling the world's greatest empire, and has a flair for drama that'd make a reality TV producer jealous. You're imagining him in his palace, sprawled on a couch draped with purple silk, tossing figs to Senator Cluck while plotting his next move. Is he mad? Some say yes. Rumors swirl about fevers that fried his brain or poisons that tweaked his wiring. You're picturing him staring into a bronze mirror, eyes wild, like he's one bad day from yeeting himself into the Tiber. But others argue he's a genius, using chaos to keep Rome off balance. You're starting to see it. A chicken senator isn't just a prank, it's a power flex, like tweeting a meme to tank a rival's stock. Here's a lesser known tidbit. Caligula was obsessed with controlling Rome's narrative, like a modern influencer curating their brand. He once staged a fake invasion of Britain, lining up his legions on a beach to fight waves. Picture you're there, sand in your sandals, watching soldiers battle the tide while Caligula declares victory. It's absurd, but it got people talking, and that was the point. The chicken's the same, a living headline that keeps his name on every tongue. Historians still debate whether he did it to mock the Senate's pomp or to test their loyalty, like a boss demanding you clap for their terrible PowerPoint. You're leaning toward all of the above because Caligula's nothing, if not extra. Now let's talk about the Senate, because they're the real pawns here. You slip back toward the forum, where a group of senators is huddled under a portico, their togas glowing faintly in the torchlight. They're whispering, faces tight, about Caligula's motives. One says, "He's humiliating us to break us." Another snaps, "He's mad as a rabid dog." You're catching the vibe. They're scared, angry, and out of moves, like you'd be if your CEO replaced you with a Roomba. The chicken's not just a joke, it's a symbol of their irrelevance. You're feeling their dread, sharp as a hangnail, because Caligula's got the army, the mob, and now a feathered mascot. What's wilder is how Caligula plays the crowd. You wander past a street performer mimicking the chicken's vote, clucking to a laughing mob. It's funny, sure, but it's also Caligula's win. Everyone's talking about him, not the Senate's grain laws or war plans. You're starting to get why he's so dangerous. He's not just ruling Rome, he's directing it, like a filmmaker with a twisted script. Remember those seashell stunts and gladiator debates? This is bigger, bolder, like dropping a diss track that goes viral. You're munching on a handful of roasted chickpeas, the crunch grounding you as you process it all. The night air's cool now, wrapping around you like a hug, but your mind's racing. Let's zoom out. The chicken's a prop, but the real game is control. By making the Senate bow to a hen, Caligula's saying, "I'm the only power that matters." You're picturing the senators' faces, remember their forced applause? And it hits you. This is psychological warfare, ancient Rome style. You're wondering how far he'll push it. A goat consul? A fish emperor? With Caligula, nothing's off the table. You pull your cloak tighter, the torches spitting sparks, and head toward the Tiber, where the city's lights dance on the water. The gossip's still swirling. He's naming the chicken his heir, and you're grinning because, come on, it's Rome. As you linger by the river, the clucking fades, but the questions don't. Was Caligula a madman or a mastermind? You're not sure, but you're hooked, aren't you? The forum's quieting, the stars blinking above, and you're replaying the guard's words. His greatest jest yet. Whatever his reasons, Caligula's got Rome by the throat, and Senator Cluck's just the start. You're ready for what's next, because this story's only getting weirder, and the city's about to face the fallout of a chicken's reign. You're back in the heart of Rome, the morning sun creeping over the rooftops, dusting the forum with a warm, rosy glow. The air is alive with the scent of fresh figs, sizzling oil from a nearby baker, and that stubborn garum whiff that's basically Rome's heartbeat. Your sandals slap against the cobblestones as you weave through the early crowd, the memory of Senator Cluck's Senate antics, tiny toga, fake decrees, and all still tickling your brain. Remember Caligula's smug grin as he made a chicken a senator? Today you're diving into the Senate's humiliated compliance, watching these proud Romans swallow their pride to appease a mad emperor and his feathered prop. The cluckings faint now, but the tension, it's thicker than a double-layered toga. Picture yourself slipping into the Senate House again, the marble cool under your feet as you nudge past a gaggle of onlookers. Inside, it's a scene straight out of a tragic comedy. Senators in their pristine togas, faces stiff as statues, pretending to respect a chicken perched on a velvet cushion. Senator Cluck's there, pecking at a scatter of grain, her laurel wreath slipping over one eye like she's hung over from her own fame. The air's heavy with incense and unspoken rage, and you're tucked behind a column, soaking it all in. These guys, Rome's elite, descendants of legends, are bowing to a barnyard bird, and it's as painful to watch as your boss forcing you to clap for their kid's recorder solo. The session's in full swing, and Caligula's nowhere in sight, probably off planning his next stunt, like declaring his horse a priest. Instead, a dour-faced consul's droning on about grain quotas, but all eyes are on the chicken. A senator, his beard quivering, addresses her as Honorable Senator, asking her opinion on a trade law. You're biting your lip to keep from snorting because, come on, it's like asking your Roomba for tax advice. Cluck flaps her wings, scattering feathers, and the consul nods gravely, declaring, "The senator approves." You're picturing the group chat exploding. Chicken just passed the tariff. Send wine. The crowd's murmuring, half stunned, half entertained, and you're right there, caught in this absurd theater. Here's a detail most history buffs skip. The Senate had to invent actual protocols for dealing with Senator Cluck, like she was a real dignitary. Picture you're watching a slave, sweating through his tunic, present a tiny scroll, yes, a scroll, to the chicken, as if she's signing off on a decree. The scroll's blank, but the senators pretend it's law, their voices tight as they praise her wisdom. It's like your office creating a PowerPoint for a pet hamster's input. Historians still debate whether these rituals were Caligula's direct orders or the Senate's desperate attempt to save face. Either way, you're mesmerized by the lengths they're going to avoid the emperor's wrath. Let's talk about the senator's vibe, because it's grim. These are men who faced wars, rebellions, and Roman traffic. But this is their breaking point. You catch one, a grizzled guy with eyes like burnt coals, staring at the chicken like he's plotting its demise. Another's muttering to his neighbor, probably about how their ancestors would have burned the Senate down before bowing to a hen. Their togas are crisp, but their dignity's in tatters, like a tunic caught in a chariot wheel. You're feeling their shame, sharp as a stubbed toe, because they're trapped. Say no to Caligula, and it's the Tiber for them. You're wondering how they sleep at night, probably with a jug of wine and a grudge. The real sting is the public watching. You glance at the crowd, merchants, scribes, even a few off-duty soldiers, whispering and snickering. For the senators, it's salt in the wound, like your co-workers giggling at your forced karaoke duet with the intern. Caligula's genius, if you can call it that, is making their humiliation a spectacle. Remember how he staged that fake Britain invasion? This is worse because it's personal. You're starting to get why they're so compliant. The Praetorians are everywhere, their swords glinting like a not so subtle reminder of who's boss. You're munching on a handful of chickpeas, the crunch grounding you as the session drags on, each vote from cluck another nail in the Senate's coffin. Now, let's zoom out. This isn't just about a chicken, it's about power stripped bare. Caligula's turned the Senate into a puppet show, with Senator Cluck as the star and the senators as unwilling extras. You're replaying their forced applause. Remember that? And it hits you. They're not just humiliated, they're obsolete. The crowd's laughter fades as you slip outside, the forum's noise washing over you, vendors shouting, donkeys braying, and somewhere a chicken clucking like it's mocking you too. The sun's climbing, warming your shoulders, and you're picturing the senators' faces etched with defeat. Gossip's already swirling. They let the chicken win. You're grinning, but there's a prickle of unease, like a sandal strap about to snap. As you wander toward the Tiber, the city's pulse thrumming around you, you're thinking about the Senate's fall. They're playing along, but for how long? Caligula's got them on a leash, but leashes break. You pull your cloak tighter, the morning breeze fading, and snag a stray fig from a passing cart. Its sweetness a brief distraction. The clucking's gone, but the story's not. You're hooked, aren't you? Good, because Rome's drama is only heating up, and Senator Cluck's reign is about to shake the city to its core. You're back in Rome, the midday sun hammering down on the forum, turning the cobblestones into a griddle under your sandals. The air's a heady mix of olive oil, dust, and that garum funk that's basically the city's pulse by now. Your cloak sticking to your shoulders as you dodge a cart piled with amphorae, the clatter of clay jugs drowning out the distant clucking that's been your weird Roman soundtrack. Senator Cluck's reign, remember that tiny toga and the Senate's forced applause? Has Rome in a frenzy, but today you're seeing the bigger picture. How a chicken senator's tanking the empire's global cred. The world's watching and Rome's looking less eternal city and more international punchline. Picture yourself at the port of Ostia, Rome's gateway to the sea, where ships bob like corks in the salty breeze. You're leaning against a stack of grain sacks, the Tiber's muddy tang mixing with the scent of tar and fish. Merchants from Alexandria, Carthage, and beyond are unloading wares, silks, spices, papyrus, while swapping stories louder than a TikTok comment section. You overhear a wiry trader from Gaul, his accent thick, snorting. A chicken in their senate? Rome's gone soft. His buddy, unloading amphora of Spanish oil, laughs so hard he nearly drops one. You're grinning because, yeah, it's hard to argue when Caligula's turned the Senate into a barnyard. It's like your country's president live streaming a cabinet meeting with their pet parrot. The port's a melting pot, and the gossip spreading faster than a retweet. You wander past a cluster of Syrian sailors, their beards braided, muttering about how Rome's legions don't scare them anymore. If they let a hen rule, what's next? A pig emperor? One says. And you're picturing the memes if this hit the internet. Rome's new foreign policy. Cluck diplomacy. The vibe's clear. Rome's prestige, once as solid as the Colosseum's foundations, is wobbling like a bad table at a cheap tavern. You're starting to feel the weight of it, like a pebble in your sandal, because this isn't just gossip, it's a crack in the Empire's armor. Here's a detail most history nerds skip. Rome's reputation was everything, and foreign dignitaries were not ready for Senator Cluck. Picture you're at a diplomatic banquet in Rome, the air thick with rosewater and roasted peacock. A Parthian envoy, draped in silk, is trying to negotiate a trade deal, but he keeps glancing at the chicken, perched on a golden stand, clucking through the talks. The poor guy's face is a mix of confusion and pity, like he's watching a once cool friend post cringy TikToks. Historians still debate whether these envoys spread the chicken story to undermine Rome or just couldn't resist the tea. Either way, you're cringing for Rome because nothing says superpower like a feathered senator stealing the show. Let's talk about the ripple effect because it's brutal. You slip back to the forum where a Roman merchant's arguing with a Greek trader over wine prices. The Greek smirking says, "Pay up or I'll sell to someone who doesn't worship poultry." The Roman's face goes redder than a sunset, and you're feeling his shame, sharp as a stubbed toe. Rome's allies are starting to hedge their bets, and enemies, like those Parthians, are sniffing weakness. It's like your team losing the Super Bowl because the coach benched the star player for a mascot. You're munching on a handful of roasted chickpeas, the crunch grounding you as you watch Rome's clout erode, one cluck at a time. The Senate's feeling it too. You catch a glimpse of a senator near the Curia, his toga sagging like his spirits, muttering to a colleague about restoring dignity. They're desperate to spin this, but Caligula's got them on a leash. Remember their forced honorable senator nonsense? You're wondering how they face foreign guests now, knowing the chicken's the talk of every port from Britannia to Egypt. It's like your boss making you pitch to clients after they saw your drunk karaoke video. You're picking up on the vibe. Rome's still mighty, but the shine's fading, and the world's noticing. Now let's zoom out. This chicken fiasco isn't just a local embarrassment, it's a global PR disaster. Caligula's antics, seashells, gladiators, and now Cluck are painting Rome as a circus, not an empire. You're replaying that Parthian envoy's pitying look, and it hits you. Power's only real if others believe it. You're back at the port, the sun dipping low, painting the ship's gold. A Carthaginian captain's joking, "Maybe we'll send a camel to their senate." You're chuckling, but there's a knot in your gut because Rome's enemies are circling, and a chicken's not exactly a battle cry. As you head back toward the forum, the evening breeze cooling your skin, you're thinking about Rome's fall from grace. The gossip's relentless. They say the chicken's got a bodyguard. You're back in Rome. The morning sun spilling over the forum, warming the cobblestones under your sandals. The air's a familiar cocktail of olive oil, fresh bread, and that garum tang that's practically woven into the city's soul. Your cloak flutters as you weave through the bustling crowd, vendors hawking figs, kids chasing pigeons, and the faint clucking that's become your Roman earworm. Senator Cluck's global embarrassment. Remember how that Parthian envoy side-eyed her? Has Rome's prestige wobbling? But today you're diving into the chicken's brief, bizarre fame. The city's obsessed, turning a barnyard hen into a cultural icon. And you're right there, watching this feathered meme take flight. Picture yourself at a crowded market stall near the Subura, where a potter's spinning clay into tiny chicken figurines, each sporting a miniature toga. The stall swarmed, with shoppers elbowing each other like it's a Black Friday sale for poultry merch. You lean in, dodging a stray elbow, and snag one, a palm-sized Senator Cluck, her wreath carved with uncanny detail. The potter, a wiry guy with clay-smeared hands, grins and says, "Selling faster than Jupiter's statues." You're chuckling because, yeah, this hen's the hottest thing in Rome, like a viral TikTok star before the algorithm buries her. It's wild to think a chicken's outshining the gods, but here you are, clutching a ceramic meme. The market's buzzing with cluck fever. You wander past a street vendor hawking Senator Special flatbreads, sprinkled with sesame seeds to mimic her speckled feathers. A kid nearby is waving a stick with a feather tied to it, clucking like he's auditioning for her entourage. You're picking up on the vibe. Rome's leaning into the chaos, turning humiliation into hustle. It's like your town selling t-shirts after a local scandal goes viral. Half ironic, half proud. You're munching on a handful of roasted chickpeas, the crunch grounding you as you soak in the absurdity. The group chat would be lit. Just bought a chicken statue. Rome's lost it. Here's a quirky detail most history buffs miss. Senator Cluck inspired a wave of satirical poetry, like Rome's version of diss tracks. Picture you're at a tavern, the air thick with wine and sweat, where a poet with a scruffy beard recites a mock ode to Cluck, the Senate star. His lines, something about her noble beak outshining togas, have the crowd roaring, spilling their drinks. It's like a modern open mic night, except with more sandals and fewer skinny jeans. Historians still debate whether these poems were just laughs or coded jabs at Caligula's rule. Either way, you're clapping along, caught up in the tavern's rowdy energy. The poet dodging a thrown olive like a pro. Olive. Let's talk about the cultural splash, because Cluck's everywhere. You slip back to the forum, where a street artist painting her on a wall, her tiny toga flapping in a dramatic breeze. Merchants are selling Cluck-approved garum jars, claiming she blessed the recipe. Total nonsense. But people are buying it like it's crypto in a bull market. You're starting to see why. She's a distraction from Caligula's taxes, the Senate's shame, and Rome's wobbly rep. It's like your friends obsessing over a celebrity breakup to ignore their own drama. You're feeling the city's pulse, a mix of defiance and denial, like a party before a storm. But not everyone's on board. You overhear a grizzled senator near the curia, his toga sagging, muttering, "This mockery cheapens Rome." He's got a point. Remember how Gaulish traders laughed at the port? Cluck's fame is fun, but it's a reminder of Rome's fall from gravitas. You're catching his vibe, a knot of unease in your gut, because this chicken's a symbol of Caligula's grip. The Senate's still bowing to her. Those honorable senator protocols are no joke, and you're wondering how long the city can laugh before it cries. It's like your office joking about a terrible boss while the company tanks. Now, let's zoom out. Cluck's fame is a flashpoint, a moment where Rome's embracing the absurd to cope with Caligula's chaos. You're replaying that poet's ode, the market's hustle, and it hits you. This is Rome at a crossroads, teetering between defiance and despair. You're back in the market, the sun climbing higher, warming your shoulders. A kid runs past, waving another feather stick, and you're grinning despite yourself. Gossip swirling. They say Cluck's getting a statue, and you're picturing the headlines. Chicken mania grips eternal city. You pull your cloak tighter, snagging a stray fig from a cart, its sweetness a fleeting escape. As you head toward the Tiber, the city's hum fading to a murmur. You're thinking about Cluck's fleeting stardom. She's a fad, but fads fade, and Caligula's shadow looms larger. The clucking's gone, but the story's not. You're hooked, aren't you? You're back in Rome, the late afternoon sun dipping low, casting long shadows across the forum's worn cobblestones. The air's heavy with the scent of cooling stone, roasted nuts, and that garum tang that's practically Rome's signature by now. Your sandals are dusty, your cloak catching on a stray thorn as you weave through the thinning crowd. Vendors packing up, stray dogs sniffing for scraps. Senator Cluck's fame, those tiny figurines and cheeky poems, has Rome buzzing like a hive. But the mood's shifting. You're sensing a storm brewing, a restless edge to the city's chatter. Caligula's excesses, with that chicken as his feathered poster child, are pushing Rome to the brink. And you're right there, feeling the ground tremble as his downfall looms. Picture yourself leaning against a column near the temple of Jupiter, the marble smooth under your palm, watching a group of citizens argue. A baker, flour dusting his tunic, jabs a finger at the sky, shouting, "He's bankrupting us for his chicken's palace." His friend, a wiry tanner, snorts, "Forget the hen. His parties cost more than a legion." You're nodding because, yeah, Caligula's been burning cash faster than a crypto bro in a bull market. The crowd's grumbling, taxes are up, bread's scarce, and Cluck's toga-wearing antics aren't cute anymore. It's like your town turning on a flashy mayor when the potholes don't get fixed. You're picking up the vibe, Rome's fed up, and the Emperor's on thin ice. Let's set the scene. You slip toward the Subura, where the street's narrow and the air's thick with sweat and cheap wine. Taverns are packed, and the talk's dark. Whispers of rebellion, of senators plotting in shadows. You duck into one, the floor sticky under your sandals, and catch a snippet. The Praetorians won't stay loyal forever. The speaker's a grizzled ex-soldier, his eyes sharp as he nurses a clay cup. You're feeling the tension, like static before a storm, because Caligula's grip, army mob chicken, is slipping. It's like your toxic boss losing the team's trust after one too many bad calls. You're munching on a handful of chickpeas, the crunch barely cutting through the tavern's hum. Here's a detail most history books skip. Caligula's antics, like the chicken senator, started alienating even his inner circle. Picture you're at a palace banquet, the air heavy with rosewater, as a Praetorian captain watches Caligula toss gold coins to dancers while Cluck pecks at a silver tray. The captain's jaw tightens. He's loyal, but his men are grumbling about unpaid wages. Historians still debate whether these moments sparked the first conspiracies or just fanned existing flames. Either way, you're catching his glance, a flicker of doubt, and it's chilling, like spotting a crack in a dam. The chicken's not the problem. It's the symbol of a regime that's lost the plot. The Senate's smelling blood, too. You wander back to the forum, where a senator's whispering to a colleague near the curia, their togas glowing in the fading light. "He's gone too far," one hisses, glancing over his shoulder. You're remembering their humiliation, bowing to Cluck, faking decrees, and you get it. They're done playing along, like you'd be after months of your boss's unhinged Zoom stunts. But they're cautious. Caligula's still got spies, and the Praetorian swords are sharp. You're feeling their fear, tight as a knotted rope, because rebellion's a gamble, and Rome's not kind to losers. The city's pulse is quickening. You pass a street preacher, his voice hoarse, warning of Jupiter's wrath for Caligula's blasphemy. A crowd's gathered, some nodding, others scoffing, but you're sensing the shift. People aren't just laughing at Cluck anymore. They're angry. It's like your neighbors turning on a local celeb when the scandals pile up. You're replaying the baker. You're back in Rome, the dawn light creeping over the seven hills, brushing the forum with a pale, ghostly glow. The air's cool, tinged with dew, the fading scent of last night's wine, and that garum whiff that's basically the city's shadow. Your sandals scuff against the cobblestones as you wander, the forum still sleepy, with only a few vendors stirring, and a stray cat eyeing you like you owe it breakfast. The unrest you felt yesterday, those angry bakers, whispering senators, is still simmering. But today you're chasing a mystery. What happened to Senator Cluck after Caligula's fall? The chicken's clucking has gone silent, and you're piecing together her strange, foggy fate in a city ready to explode. Picture yourself near the Palatine Hill, where Caligula's palace sprawls, its marble glinting like a smug grin. The year's 41 CE now, and Caligula's gone, assassinated in a flurry of Praetorian blades, his reign ending as messily as the spilled amphora. You're standing by a crumbling wall, graffiti scratched into the stone. Gaius fell, Rome rises. The air's thick with relief but also uncertainty, like the morning after a wild party you barely survived. Senator Cluck, once Rome's feathered meme, remember her tiny toga and those satirical poems, is nowhere to be seen. You're curious, maybe a little wistful, because that hen was the heart of this bizarre saga, and now she's a ghost. Let's set the scene. You slip into a tavern near the Subura, the air heavy with stale beer and the murmur of early drinkers. A grizzled merchant, his tunic stained with oil, leans over his cup, spinning tales of Caligula's end. The chicken, he says, catching your eye. Some say she was roasted the day Gaius died. You wince, picturing Cluck in a stew, her laurel wreath discarded like a bad prop. But another patron, a wiry scribe, shakes his head. No, I heard she escaped, lives in a farmer's coop now. You're grinning, because Rome's gossip mill is still churning. Turning Cluck into a legend is like your office, debating whether the company mascot retired or got fired. Here's a detail most history buffs gloss over. Animals tied to Roman scandals often got mythic afterlives in folklore. Picture you're at a street corner, listening to a storyteller spin a yarn about Cluck leading a flock to freedom, her clucks guiding them like a feathered Moses. It's nonsense, but the crowd's eating it up, tossing coins like it's a Patreon tip. Historians still debate whether Cluck was quietly culled or just faded into obscurity, maybe pecking away in some villa's yard. Either way, you're charmed by the idea of her out there, dodging stew pots, a barnyard hero in a city that loves its myths. The reality's probably less poetic. You wander back to the forum where a new emperor, Claudius, is trying to glue Rome back together. The Senate's reclaiming some power, their togas less wilted, but Cluck's nowhere in the records. No statues, no decrees, just whispers. You're imagining her final days. Maybe a palace slave set her free, or she was gifted to a senator as a bitter joke. You're feeling a pang, like when your favorite meme account goes dark. Because Cluck was more than a chicken. She was Rome's mirror, reflecting Caligula's chaos. You're munching on a handful of chickpeas, the crunch steadying you as you sift through the rumors. Let's talk about the city's mood, because it's raw. You pass a group of merchants near the Curia, arguing over taxes. Claudius isn't Caligula, but he's no saint. They're glad the madman is gone, but there's a hollowness, Like Rome's nursing a collective hangover, Cluck's absence feels symbolic, a reminder of the absurdity they endured. You're catching their vibe, a mix of relief and regret, like surviving a toxic job but missing the office dog. The Senate's trying to erase Caligula's legacy. Remember those humiliating protocols? But Cluck lingers in the city's psyche, a feathered scar on its pride. Now let's zoom out. Cluck's fate, murky as it is, marks the end of an era. Caligula's death didn't fix Rome, but it closed the chicken chapter, leaving stories to fill the gaps. You're back near the Tiber, the water sluggish under the morning sun, reflecting a city that's bruised but breathing, gossip still swirling. They say Cluck's eggs are cursed, and you're picturing the headlines. Mystery of Rome's senator hen. You pull your cloak tighter, the dawn chill lingering, and snag a stray fig from a passing cart. Its sweetness, a brief comfort. The clucking's gone, and so is Caligula, but the echoes remain. As you linger by the river, Rome waking around you, you're thinking about Cluck's strange legacy. Was she a victim, a prop, or a survivor? You're not sure, but you're hooked, aren't you? The forum stirring, vendors shouting, and you're ready for the next chapter. Rome's picking up the pieces, and Cluck's mystery is just one thread in a city, weaving itself back together. You're ready to see how it ends, because this story's not over. It's just getting quieter. Ping back to see her lasting mark. That feathered senator's become a cautionary tale, a clucking symbol of unchecked power. And you're here feeling Rome grapple with its scars as it tries to move on. Picture yourself near the rostra, the speaker's platform where orators once roared about glory, now a stage for quieter voices. A young senator, his toga crisp, but his eyes weary, is addressing a small crowd, urging prudence in governance. He doesn't mention Cluck outright, but you catch the subtext when he warns against tyrants who mock our dignity. The crowd murmurs, some nodding, others skeptical, their faces etched with the memory of Caligula's chaos. You're leaning against a column, its marble warm under your palm, and you're feeling it too. A city haunted by a chicken, like your office whispering about that one unhinged CEO years after they're gone. The forum's alive, but it's different now. You wander past a vendor selling clay tablets etched with laws, a nod to Claudius's new order. The Senate's clawing back some respect. Remember their humiliated bows to Cluck? But the chicken's shadow looms. You overhear a merchant mutter, "No more barnyard senators, please." He's half joking, but there's a bite to it, like your friend swearing off bad Tinder dates after a disaster. You're picking up the vibe. Rome's trying to rebuild its gravitas, but Cluck's absurdity is a wound that hasn't fully healed. It's like trying to rebrand your company after a viral PR flop. Possible, but the internet never forgets. Here's a detail most history buffs skip. Cluck's story got woven into Roman moral tales, like an ancient TED talk on hubris. Picture you're at a schoolroom near the Esquiline, where a teacher's scolding kids with a story about the emperor who crowned a hen. The kids giggle, but the lesson's clear. Power without restraint breeds chaos. It's like your mom retelling that time you crashed the family car to keep you humble. Historians still debate whether these tales exaggerated Cluck's role to vilify Caligula or to warn future leaders. Either way, you're charmed by how a chicken's become Rome's unofficial mascot for Don't Be That Guy. Let's talk about the city's mood, because it's layered. You slip toward the Tiber, where dock workers unload grain ships, their banter lighter than before. Claudius isn't Caligula, less flash, more function, but Rome's still shaky, like a friend recovering from a bad breakup. The Senate's pushing reforms, and you catch a senator near the Curia, his voice low, saying, "We'll never let one man rule us again." It's hopeful, but you're sensing the scars, Cluck's tiny toga, those fake decrees, the global Snickers. You're munching on a handful of chickpeas, the crunch steadying you as you feel Rome's resolve, fragile but growing, like a sapling after a storm. The legacy's bigger than one hand, though. You pause by a temple, its steps worn smooth, and watch a priest burn incense, praying for stability. Cluck's story, seashells, gladiators, and all, has become a shorthand for what Rome must avoid. Emperors who treat power like a toy. You're replaying that young senator's speech, and it hits you. The chicken's a warning etched into Rome's psyche, like a post-it note on the empire's fridge, saying, "Check yourself." You're wondering if it'll stick, because Rome loves its drama, and another Caligula could be just a bad vote away. Now, let's zoom out. Cluck's tale is a pivot point, a moment when Rome saw its own fragility. You're back in the forum, the sun high, warming your shoulders. A kid runs past, waving a stick like it's a scepter, and you're grinning, thinking of Cluck's fleeting fame. Gossip's quieter now. They say Claudius banned chicken jokes, and you're picturing the headlines. Rome's lesson, no more feathered fiascos. You pull your cloak tighter, the breeze picking up, and snag a stray olive from a cart, its bitterness grounding you. The clucking's gone, but its echo lingers, a reminder of a city that laughed, wept, and learned. As you head toward the Palatine, the city's hum softening, you're thinking about Rome's resilience. Cluck's gone, maybe to a farm, maybe to a myth, but her story's carved into the empire's bones. You're hooked, aren't you? The forum's buzzing, vendors shouting, and you're ready for the final chapter. Rome's rebuilding, but the chicken's shadow is long, and the city's still finding its footing in a world that won't forget its feathered senator. You're back in Rome one last time, the evening sky deepening to a bruised purple, stars beginning to prick through like tiny promises. The forum's quieter now, its cobblestones cool under your sandals, the air soft with the scent of fading jasmine, and that garum tang that's clung to you like a memory. Your cloak brushes your ankles as you move slowly, the city's pulse slowing too. Vendors gone, torches flickering, a stray cat slinking past with a knowing glance. Senator Cluck's legacy, that feathered warning of power gone wild, still hums in Rome's bones. But tonight you're walking through a city picking up its pieces, rebuilding after Caligula's chaos. The clucking's long gone, and you're here, feeling Rome breathe again, scarred but steady. Picture yourself by the Temple of Vesta, its eternal flame casting a warm glow on the marble, where a priestess sweeps the steps, her movements calm, deliberate. The city is changed since Cluck's day. Remember those humiliated senators and global snickers? Claudius, the new emperor, is no rock star, but he's patching the cracks, like your friend rebuilding their life after a messy breakup. You lean against a column, its surface worn smooth by centuries of hands, and watch Rome settle into itself. The Senate's got some swagger back, passing laws without poultry props, and the people, they're tired but hopeful, like you after a long shift when the coffee finally kicks in. Let's linger here. You wander toward the Tiber, the river glinting under a crescent moon, its ripples catching torchlight like scattered coins. A dock worker singing, his voice rough but warm, about Rome's new dawn. It's cheesy, but you're feeling it. A city that's been through the ringer, but hasn't quit. The markets are bustling again, not with cluck figurines, but with grain, wine, and hope. You're thinking of that young senator's speech about prudence. Remember that? And how it's starting to take root. Rome's learning, slowly, that power needs limits, like you learning to budget after blowing your paycheck on takeout. Here's a final tidbit most history buffs miss. Cluck's story didn't just fade, it became a quiet ritual for some Romans. Picture you're at a small household shrine where a family pours a libation, a splash of wine, for the hen who taught us. It's half joking, but there's reverence, like your family toasting to a quirky ancestor at Thanksgiving. Historians still debate whether these rituals were about Cluck or just a way to process Caligula's madness. Either way, you're touched by the image. A chicken immortalized not in marble, but in the city's heart, a feathered footnote in its long story. The mood's gentle now. You pass a baker locking up his stall, his face lined but content, muttering about tomorrow's bread. The Senate's meeting nearby, their voices low, debating aqueducts, not chickens. You're catching the vibe. Rome's not fixed, but it's healing, like a bruise fading from purple to yellow. You're munching on your last handful of chickpeas, the crunch soft in the evening hush, and you're feeling Rome's resilience, steady as the Tiber's flow. It's like your own quiet victories, getting through a tough week, knowing you'll be okay. Now let's zoom out, slow and easy. Cluck's tale, seashells, togas, chaos was a fever dream, but it woke Romai up. You're by the river again, the water's murmur blending with the city's hum, like a lullaby for a tired empire. The stars are brighter now, the air cooler, wrapping you like a blanket. You're thinking of Cluck, maybe pecking in some far-off coop or living on in tavern tales. And you're smiling because she was absurd but unforgettable, like that one wild night you still laugh about. Rome's moving forward, its scars a map of lessons learned, its heartbeat strong under the quiet night. Your steps slow, the forum behind you, its columns ghostly in the moonlight. The city's settling, its lights dimming, and you're settling too, your breath evening out, your thoughts softening. The gossip's faded, no more cursed eggs or chicken airs, and you're picturing Rome as it heals, its people dreaming of better days. You pull your cloak tighter, the fabric warm, and let the river's song carry you. The clucking's gone, the chaos too, and what's left is a city, a story, a whisper of peace. And now, as the stars wheel above, Rome blurs, its edges softening like a painting left in the rain. You're sinking deeper, the Tiber's murmur fading, the city's weight lifting. Let it go, let it all drift. Cluck, Caligula, the forum's hum. You're safe here, wrapped in the night. the world gentle and far away. Close your eyes, feel the stillness, and let Rome's story carry you to sleep, soft as a feather on the breeze.